This is Rocky Snyder. At the tone, leave your name and message and I'll get back to you.
Hi, I'm Melody Schoenfeld. Today I tore a 750-page telephone book, and I also tore 40 cards out of a deck of cards, and I broke a freaking baseball bat, which apparently is a thing that happens.
Well, welcome to this episode of the RockFit Files, and with me this week, I've got Melody Schoenfeld, and Melody is a certified strength conditionist. She is an author. She is a strong person, strong woman, strong man, competitor. I don't know how else you'd say it in this world of political correctness. She's one strong individual. In fact, every time I see her, she runs up and gives me this bear hug and lifts me off the ground. It gives me a few spinal adjustments and then puts me back down again. So I always feel taller, and that's probably because we stand about the same height. We're, officially, Mel, we've got dwarfdom is 5 feet under, or under 5 feet. You are officially considered, yes. So what I think, we're hobbits, actually. We're strong-ass hobbits are what we are. I think
Isn't
they're
it
5
under
to 5'6".
410 now?
Now, was it 410? I don't know, but I come from the land of dwarfs anyway. I'm a giant in my family. I tower above my mom. So there you have it. And little did we know, for the listening audience, yes, that my ancestor was actually Charles Stratton, otherwise known as General Tom Thumb, who met the Queen of England, and he only stood about 26 inches high. Yeah, I am a giant in my family. It's just towering. It's amazing. Well, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you could join me down in LA there. How is LA?
LA is, well, right now it's not bad, but it's about to get gross. It's going to be 109 degrees this weekend, and that is disgusting.
Wow. What do you do when it's 109?
I shake my fist at the sky. As far as I'm concerned, it should be illegal to ever go above 80 degrees, and I am going to write a strongly worded letter to somebody.
You should. Because it works here. Somebody wrote one a while back in Santa Cruz, and funny enough, somebody listened. It never really gets above 85 degrees here.
Yeah,
it's
but
amazing.
Now it's on fire.
That's true. Yeah.
We were also on fire, so.
Grab the s'mores. California is s'more city. It's s'more land right now. So you've got so many things going on. I want to talk about all of them from you're a death metal or heavy metal singer. Are you death metal or heavy metal?
I'm not death metal. I'm not
really?
Death metal. Like, it's more like Cookie Monster vocals, like, I don't know.
Yeah. No Lamb of God, no?
Nah, I've been known to scream a little bit, but not so much. No, my main project right now for music is a Celtic rock band, actually.
Love Celtic.
Yeah, it's really fun. Usually we headline Fremont Street in Las Vegas for St. Patrick's Day, and we play the Scottish and Irish festivals all over the country and stuff like that. It's really fun. And I sing lead for that, and I play electric cello and Irish flute and a big drum and whatever else they throw at me.
You must be big in Boston and Chicago then.
Well, I haven't played there yet, but hopefully, but nobody. I'm not playing anywhere right now, unfortunately. But hopefully, we had so many shows ramped up for this year, and we actually, when all of this COVID thing went down, I was in Las Vegas because we were about to perform at the Fremont Street and then also at the Henderson Irish Festival. We always do that. So we were up there 45 minutes before I parked my car at the hotel. I get the call that Henderson was canceled. Oh. And then we were just hanging out waiting for Fremont Street, which didn't look like they were going to cancel. And then at the last minute, the night before we were supposed to perform, we canceled.
Crazy. So you have not performed since then?
No. But we're kind of talking about doing a driveway concert, maybe. So we'll see if that happens. We want to do something,
You could do a drive-by concert, get a flatbed truck, and just start cruising through the city.
Oh my God, that would be awesome. Do you have a flatbed
Honestly.
truck? Come on down.
Well, I'll work on that. I'll call U-Haul right now. Meanwhile, you're not unfamiliar with being on stage, not only as a singer, but I've seen you present on numerous occasions for the NSCA. In fact, you are you were awarded the 2019 Personal Trainer of the Year award through the NSCA. I don't think I've congratulated you since then, partly because I've been so bitter that you beat me, but that's all right. No, I didn't even run. I'm just kidding. I don't know how to, I would just stuff the ballots, and then the committee would come out and they would catch me, and they'd say, no,
I mean, that's how I did it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, you did? That's great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just stuffed ballots.
Fantastic. And what did you get for being Personal Trainer of the Year?
Nobody sees you.
That's right. See, I actually fit in a ballot box amazingly well. It's probably because I'm so flexible. But you've been given talks about lifting primarily because you have a company. It's called Ant Strong. Is that correct?
No, well, that's my logo for my training center. My personal training center is called Flawless Fitness, and I do in fact have a logo that is an ant with a kettlebell overhead saying Ant Strong.
I love that because I feel like Ant-Man. And then you'd be the wasp, maybe. I don't know, but we lift at least more than 2 times our body weight. I have known to do that. I think I've probably deadlift about 3 times my body weight, and I've squatted about 2.5 times my body weight. So that's not bad.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then my shoulders ripped off, and that was it. It was like a Monty Python skit, and blood was flying everywhere.
Shoulders are useful. So yeah, try not to.
Yeah, I kind of stopped that down. So tell me about your lifting records, though, because you've won some powerlifting competitions.
Well, I had maybe I don't anymore. I'm sure I don't at this point, but I did for a time have all 3 lifts as a record in powerlifting for my age and weight class, and then I competed in a strongman competition in Santa Cruz, actually. It was California's Strongest Woman in 2016. I came in 2nd in my weight class, which is awesome until you consider that there were only 2 people in my weight class.
Oh, that's very good. You know, one of our trainers, she competed. I think it was over at Santa Cruz Power, was it? Is that where you went for that competition?
I believe that's where it was, yeah.
Yeah, and she walked away. I want to say that you were different weight divisions because she walked away with first place, and it would be horrible if she actually beat you out, but I don't think she is.
Well, if she was there in 2016, she didn't win first place.
Okay,
so she
that was you.
That was Emily. She actually trains at the gym that I was training at the time.
Oh. So are you still doing competitive lifting, like powerlifting?
You know, I haven't competed since 2016. It's not a priority for me. I love it. It's a lot of fun. But just other things have taken priority in my life. I have to take the whole day off of work, and I have to pay the admission fee, and and all this stuff. And it's kind of, it's not necessary for me right now.
Sure.
That said, I might do the 805 Strongest competition that's still scheduled to happen in December. I'm thinking about it, so we'll see.
Where is that? That's the 805 is the area code, so that's where it's going to be.
805, yeah, that's kind of the Ventura area. That's actually run by Ode Hogan. I don't know if you know him, but he runs that one, and it's a cool competition. I have not been able to compete in it yet. I just life gets in the way, so we'll see if I do it this year. Lee is definitely going to be doing it this year, and I am kind of 75% going to do it this year.
Have you ever done Scottish Games before? You ever done the caber toss or anything like that? The stone throw, or?
I have been rehearsing. No, I'm too musical. I have been practicing for Scottish Games every Sunday since lockdown, because that used to be the day that I would rehearse with my bands, and I'm not doing that right now. So I go out to Orange County and I throw with the Orange County Highlanders. So I'm learning. I'm not very good at all, but I'm learning.
Well, I can't imagine that you're not very good, to be honest.
Oh,
so
we're
talking, but you've got such great force production. So we're talking like the technical throwing.
But it's a completely different. It's a different thing, completely different. Different angles, different movements, different implements. It's just my body is not used to these movements yet, and I only do it once a week. So it's not the same as a bench press, even though there is, the push mechanism with throwing. It's not the same as a bench press. I'm not throwing that weight at an angle overhead, so it's and then there's a lot of implements that are very difficult for me to do because they're 20% of my body weight, and I have to they're on a chain and I have to turn around in a circle with them and control it somehow, for weight for distance and stuff like that. I have a real hard time with that because the weight pulls me all over the place, and I haven't done hammer yet because we don't have a hammer that's my the weight that I would
Grip
use
width.
in competition.
Uh-huh.
And I'm very nervous about hammer because I've tried doing it with the heavier one, and that's just not happening.
Do you find that it's a good element of cross training for you when it comes to your other kind of routines? Are you finding a nice carryover?
I don't really know that it carries over, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. And so, I don't care.
That's great. Now, you put on some videos, you post them on social media from time to time, and I just adore them because it's the old time strongman kind of things, ripping a phone book in half. You put on some welder gloves and you took a license plate and you ripped that in half. I've seen you take penny nails, I don't even know what size, spikes, and bend them with your bare hands. The one thing I haven't seen, there was something else that's on your website that you've done that I haven't seen you do. What was the fourth thing? I can't recall. What got you into that, I guess, is my question.
Baseball
When did you
bat?
start? Oh, what did you do with a baseball bat? You broke it over your knee or something?
I snapped it in half. Yeah.
Of course you did. Why would I think anything other than that? Yeah, unless you broke it over your boyfriend's back because he's just like the mountain from Game of Thrones. In fact, was he the mountain? He was the mountain from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he might have. Even if I did break it over his back, he probably wouldn't feel it. His pain tolerance.
No, that's what I mean. It would just be like a scratch or something. But like, did you feel that? No, I thought it was a mosquito. Honestly. Yeah, he was the stunt double in Game of Thrones. I'm convinced of it. Anyway, what got you into the old time strong feats?
I had a friend who was a performing strongman, Bud Jeffries, and he just kind of taught me a couple things, and I really enjoyed it. And it was a challenge for me. The first thing he taught me was tearing a phone book in half, and I could not do it. And that made me really angry. So I was then, after that, determined to do it. Now that's one of my favorite feats. I love doing that. And so I don't like not being able to do things. So I tried really hard to be able to do them. But yeah, he was like, here, try this. And I was like, no, okay. So, and I've just been enjoying it ever since. It's an expensive habit though.
Really? You would think that phone books are a dime a dozen. You probably find them on every driveway because no one uses them anymore.
The phone books aren't what's expensive. It's, buying the steel for bending, that gets pricey, the nails and all that. And then
that's right.
Even the license plates, because you can't always get license plates. Sometimes I have to buy them online.
Oh, there's like a parking lot full of them right here. I should go get some. I'll mail you some. That's no problem. You can find a
cool. Done.
Yeah. This is,
Sweet.
Really. Yeah, we'll just say it was a peaceful protest. That's it. Peaceful protesting. License plates gone everywhere. So, with your strongman feats. Obviously, it's a fun kind of a show of strength, but that's not how you're getting strong. And after seeing you present, the topics that you present at, say, the NSCA and all others, what are your favorite things to present on? What do you like to really talk about to an audience?
Anything dealing with fitness or nutrition, it doesn't matter to me what the subject is. I just really enjoy, because I'm passionate about it. And I really enjoy talking to people about those things. So public speaking, once upon a time, was terrifying to me when I was in college and I took a public speaking class. I remember I don't even remember what I spoke about, but whatever I spoke about, I was shaking. And I think it was that I was going to be judged and graded on it. I think that's what it was about it. But I feel like if I had been just talking about something that I was really passionate about and done it in a way that was not so structured the way that they wanted it structured, I feel like I would have been a lot more at ease. So I love public speaking now, just talking about the things that I'm passionate about and helping to educate people about those things. It's a lot of fun.
Do you recall the first major talk you gave, like fresh out of the gate?
It was Kettlebells 101. And I'm trying to remember I want to say it was the NSCA. But actually, no, you know what? Before that, I was giving speeches on sleep deprivation and sleep disorders for Southern California Edison. Had me,
really?
They had me going around, and then also I spoke for a charity for girls. It was helping girls become, educated women and more powerful women. I can't remember the name of the organization now. But
No
anyway.
problem. But that must have built your well, not only reputation of being a speaker, but your feeling of confidence as well as speaking. Would you imagine?
Well, it was pretty cool because I didn't really feel like anybody would care about what I had to say, and turns out that they really enjoyed it, so it worked out.
Now you mentioned nutrition, and here's the kicker for the listening audience that's on the podcast right now is that Melody, your plant-based diet, but we'll call it vegan because I think isn't that just plant-based diet? Isn't that just another way of saying vegan? I mean, isn't that people that know they're two different things? Educate me. What's the difference between being vegan and plant-based?
Plant-based does not really have a strong definition of what it is. It just means that you generally eat less meat than the average Joe. So your goal with a plant-based diet, you may not be vegetarian at all. You may still eat meat, but you're just eating a lot more. You're eating a lot less meat than you were, or you're eating a lot more plants than you were. Plant-based is a very, very fluid definition. And so generally the intention with somebody who is plant-based is they are trying to eat less meat in some form or another. And that may be as going as far as being vegan, or that may be they just, they have meatless Mondays or something like that.
Well, I know there's a lot of people that have said, oh, if you go vegetarian, that are interested in building up their bodies, building up strength and power. They're concerned that by not eating meats, this is a fallacy, obviously, but you're a walking testament to that because you are vegan and you are one of the strongest people I know pound for pound. So, but there must be a little bit of work behind that. We talked before the show about supplements. You want to talk a little bit about that? If you're vegan, what do you need to do in order to have the life that you're having in your strength levels?
Well, here's the thing. There's very little research on strength and veganism. I would like to change that. I have been trying for a very long time to do strength and hypertrophy studies, but getting the funding for them is virtually impossible. So it hasn't happened yet. I have a lab that wants to host me for it. I just can't get the damn funding, and it's very frustrating. That said, so if anybody is a millionaire and would like to fund research, please let me know. But that said, the research that exists, and it's very paltry, basically does not show that veganism helps or hinders strength. Right?
Well, maybe it's not paltry and it's actually poultry. Maybe it's the meat industry that's actually doing the studies.
Foul joke.
Right. Boom, so, right back at you.
Anyway, I was a little chicken to say that. Anyway, so as far as the research that's out there, it doesn't seem like veganism helps you get stronger, and it does not stop you from getting stronger as long as you're doing it properly. And the biggest issue really with athletes and veganism seems to be calories. The biggest issue is that a lot of athletes use veganism as part of a eating disorder. So it's easy to say, oh, I don't eat meat, and that's why I'm not eating that much. It's a good excuse. So a lot of times veganism is used to kind of push an eating disorder or mask an eating disorder. But then also there's a lot of sports that body image is a thing, gymnastics, dance, and many other sports where your body is judged. And so veganism is a good transition for them to eat way too little. And, if they eliminate certain foods from their diets, they have an excuse to eat too little. But even people who aren't trying to do that, they may just be doing it in such a way that they are not fueling what they need to fuel in order to perform the way they need to perform. So that's probably the biggest issue is calories. And so you have to make sure that you are eating enough to fuel your sport. So that's
now you put together a book. I'll say a cookbook, but a book called Pleasure Not Meeting You. And meeting, of course, MEATING, pleasure not meeting you. And so tell me a little bit about that, because that's all about a vegan diet and And what
Yeah.
obviously you're inspired to do it because that's what you do. But when did that come out? How long did it take you to write it, and what's inside?
That was my first book, and I wrote it because it needed to be written. There was, for most of the vegan resources out there are very propagandish, and they, they have a goal of conversion in some way or another. And so that's where all of these documentaries play in. So you get these documentaries that are like, you're going to get cancer unless you stop eating meat, or you're going to, become a serial killer unless you stop eating meat, or whatever it is they're trying to push, right? But
Game changers.
Yes. So they use fear tactics, or with the Game Changers, I will admit I have not seen Game Changers because it does not interest me. But that said, I don't think that Game Changers platform is fear-based. I think theirs is motivation-based. They're like, oh, look at these big, strong vegans. You too can be big and strong if you are a vegan, which is fine. It is true. You can be big and strong if you're a vegan. But again, my understanding of the science that they used is that it was like many other of those documentaries, it was cherry-picked. And it was cherry-picked in order to push an agenda. And the people who did the Game Changers movie, as well as the people who do a lot of the other movies, have something to gain by people becoming vegan. So a lot of them have products or books that they can sell, things like that. In any case, they make a buck off people becoming vegan, or it's simply a matter of principle, and they want people to be vegan, and so they will make people go vegan by any ways necessary, right?
Wow.
And so what happened with some of these fear-based movies is a lot of people were like, shit, I don't want to get cancer. And so they went vegan immediately without even thinking twice about it. And they did it way too fast, and they did it without an understanding of how it's done. And they did it for about a week, and then they went back to their old ways. So in some ways, I guess the makers of those movies accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. They converted some people, but I do not think that they converted anyone long-term, or very few people long-term.
So you're saying that like a vegan lifestyle is something that should be taken gradually or in moderation, that somebody, you're recommending that they just don't jump in with both feet?
I think that is the case for any major lifestyle change. I think as a general rule, when you jump into something with both feet, the tendency is to go whole hog. This is why the gyms are packed on New Year's Day and not a week later, is because people are like, I am going to lose weight, and I am going to eat nothing but iceberg lettuce and drink diet soda, and I'm going to go to the gym 17 times a day, and it's going to be great. And they do that for about 2 days, and then they stop. And it's the same as anything else. If you are going to make such a huge change in your life, that may not be sustainable for you to do it all at once. And that's not to say that it can't be done. There are people who do really well with this all or nothing mentality, but for the most part, when somebody makes a huge change in their lifestyle, it needs to be done gradually and step by step, and to do that, taking the steps that are manageable for you at the moment. Because it may be that some things are not manageable for you at the moment. It may not be doable for you to, let's say, not eat eggs. Maybe you can't not eat eggs right now. So the way I went vegan was very gradual. I started with red meat. Actually, I really started with lobster. When I was a little girl, I was like 5 years old, and I was an expensive little girl because I really liked lobster. And I also like looking at the lobsters in the tanks because I've always been an animal lover. And I never put two and two together that the lobsters in the tanks were the ones on the plate, even though they looked kind of the same. It just, for some reason, I never made that connection. Because it would never occur to me, like, why would you eat something that was alive, right? And one day we were at a restaurant where they brought live lobsters to the table, and I saw that, and I was like, well, that's it for lobster for me. And I was like 5 when I made that choice. And then when I was in the 8th grade, we did like a school trip to one of those, what do you call them? Do you have those towns where like everyone's in the 17th century and they dress in period costume? And
yes.
Yeah, we went to one of those, and it had like an 18th century butcher. So there was a cow carcass hanging out to dry. And that was it for red meat for me. And then, then it was chicken was really, I was in college, and I one day realized I hadn't eaten chicken in 2 months, and I hadn't really tried to do that. That's what happened. And I was like, oh, all right, well, I can do that. So I stopped with the chicken. And I'll tell you, I kept meeting vegans and I was really turned off by them. They were very in your face, and you're a bad person if you're not doing what we're doing. And it made me almost want to go the opposite way. It made me almost be like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to eat more meat. So, you know, I did not like being shamed for not doing what somebody else was doing. I didn't like feeling like I was a murderer because, you know, and I don't need to be yelled at, you know, for not making a choice that somebody else has made. And I met one day some vegans, and I kind of second guessed myself about doing it, but I finally said, you know what, I don't understand what's the big deal with eggs and milk. I was like, you don't kill the chicken to get the egg, you don't kill the cow to get the milk. What's the big deal? And they said to me the best thing that anybody has ever said to me, which was basically, why don't you go and do some research and let us know what you find out? I was like, all right. So I did that. And that was the best thing I could have possibly done, because I got to look at the sources that felt like good sources to me. And I got to do the research that I felt like I needed to do. And I was like, oh, you know what? I can't continue to eat like that and have my morality. And so I cut everything out. And at the time, the thing that was kind of the sticking point for me really was dim sum. I really like dim sum. I like the shrimp dumplings. And I would go and I would eat them, and I would feel like an asshole every time. But I just really liked dim sum, and I wasn't ready to get rid of it yet. And that was kind of it for me. I was like, well, yeah, it's more important to me to not eat animals than it is for me to eat dim sum. And so I made that choice, and I never went back.
Now, we don't have to delve too deep into like the line in the sand, but I am always curious that we all have these boundaries that are pretty much self-created based on previous experiences. So when it comes to this topic here, are there animal products that you do have in your household that may not be food-based? Like, do you have anything that's leather, or do you have anything that's, or do you like French fries? Because French fries might have tallow in it.
My car has tires. You know,
so,
there's animal products in everything. You can't avoid it 100%, really. And so you have to draw your line somewhere.
Right. What is your line? I'm just curious, and just out of curiosity, really, for no better reason.
You know, I mean, like I said, my car has tires and runs on animal bones. Runs on dinosaur bones. You know, so there is that. The one thing that I do that I'm okay with, and I actually disagree with vegans on, is honey. A lot of vegans won't eat honey. It's an animal product. They believe that bees are exploited. To me, you're doing a disservice to bees if you do not support responsibly run bee businesses.
Because of the decimation of the bee population worldwide? Yeah.
Exactly. They help propagate bees.
Yeah.
And they're not hurting the bees if they're responsibly run. That said, I don't really buy honey. It's not something that is an active part of my diet, but I'm not going to be turned off if there's honey in my food. And I do believe that you need to support those businesses. So I am in great disagreement with the average vegan on that one. I don't own leather as a general rule. However, I do own a leather lifting belt, I believe, because I did not have an option when I got it otherwise.
Gotcha.
And I think I own some leather stone sleeves. Again, I didn't have another option. These are decisions that I don't take lightly. These are decisions that I go back and forth in my head because it is very, very hard for me to decide to do something like that. But that said, when I'm on stage and I wear, a lot of, like spiked, leathery looking things, I don't generally buy leather, but then my options are terrible for the environment. But then also buying most leather is also terrible for the environment. The tanning process is not good. So it's kind of like, which way do I go with that? I can wear this thing that is completely non-biodegradable and will be forever in our environment. Or I can buy the leather thing, which is also not great for the environment, and I killed a cow. But it is a byproduct of the meat industry, and then you're at least using all of the cow, so I can go with it that way. Yeah, it's there's a lot of difficult decisions.
I know it is. I honestly, I was actually a vegetarian through college for quite a while, and I was running into the same problems. And my level of morality has vacillated over the years, of course. Like I think anybody, you just start to accumulate more knowledge or insensitivity or whichever direction you want to go. I just find it fascinating just to see where the people's lines in the sand. So back to the book though, I'm curious, there's got to be like at least two recipes that you are going, oh my God, this has to be in there. What are your top ones like in your book? What are the ones you're going, this is the reason why I need to put this in there?
Chickpea Blondies, number one. So good.
What, like a dessert? Like blondies
so
as in a, really?
They're so good. You would never know that they were made from chickpeas, and I love them, and they're so easy to make. So that's number one. It's basically like chickpeas, a little bit of sugar. I forget what else is in it. Anyway, you throw it in the blender. That's how you make them. You just throw them in the blender or the food processor, and then you throw it in a pan, you throw it in the oven, and it's done. And it's so good.
No way. No, of course, no eggs because it's vegan, but what's your binder? Nothing binds it? The chickpeas bind it.
Yeah.
And then sugar, and that's it.
No, it's not just chickpeas and sugar. Well, let's see, what's in there? They're so good.
Like some chocolate chips in there, or cacao powder, or anything like that?
I do sometimes put chocolate chips in.
Nice.
They are, let's see.
Oh, yeah, and after you find it, throw the cover of that up onto the camera so people can see it. Pleasure not meeting you.
Is it backwards?
A science-based approach to the vegan lifestyle. No, you got it right there. Beautiful.
So they are chickpeas, peanut butter, rolled oats, sugar, liquid sweetener, like I use coconut nectar, baking powder, baking soda, a little salt, a little vanilla, cinnamon, cardamom, allspice.
Ooh.
So good. But my other favorite recipe that's in there is the last recipe in the book, which was something that I figured out based on a picture I saw on the internet, which is there's a pizza restaurant called Tony Baloney's, and I want to say they're in Pennsylvania, but they on a Tuesday night at some ridiculous hour of the day, these super drunk high guys came in and I think they were just like super baked. And they walked in, it was like 2 a.m, and they're like, hey, it's Taco Tuesday. Do you guys have tacos? And they were like, no, we're a pizzeria, dude. And they were like, oh, taco pizza, man. And then they thought about it, and they were like, all right, hang on. And they made this insane taco pizza. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, I need to veganize that. And it's basically this pizza with like a mole sauce on it and some Mexican type cheese on it, which I veganized, and then tacos all around it. So the pizza is like a plate, and then you have tacos all around it, and then in the middle of all that, you have your guacamole and your sour cream and all that stuff, salsa in the middle of it all, and it's awesome. So,
oh my God.
Yeah,
see, I thought you were going to tell me that you just take the pizza and you fold it in half and you eat it like a taco. No, there's actually tacos on it.
Yeah.
Oh, taco pizza. So it's like 2 meals in one. You have the tacos and your chips and dips, and then you eat the pizza after that?
Exactly. It's awesome. It's the best party food ever.
Yeah, I got to say, the creative mind that goes into a lot of these vegan or plant-based meals are fantastic, and it's driving the industry. You're just seeing, we had mashed cauliflower instead of mashed potatoes last night for dinner. Had some green beans and some mashed cauliflower, and oh my gosh, you can find it everywhere. These days you can find it in the frozen food section of Costco or Safeway supermarket. It's become so mainstream. It's wonderful. I'm really loving the fact that we're getting away from canned foods and a lot more whole, and whether it's freshly frozen or fresh in itself. And you must have a farmer's market down in your area. You've got to hit the farmer's market.
We do, but I don't go anymore because of COVID has made the lines to get in there insane.
Oh, they've got,
because you have to stand in line to get in now, and it's crazy. And by the time the lines have gone down, I've got other things to do. I can't get there at that time. So
where do you do your shopping?
Mostly either Sprouts or Whole Foods or sometimes Stater Brothers. I just kind of go between those three. And I like ethnic markets as well when I can get to them. There's just not the ones that I like are a little bit of a drive from me, so I don't get to go all the time. But I really like going to the Asian supermarkets because they always have some really interesting things there and great noodles. So yeah, there's a little Korean market about a 15-minute drive from me, and if I can get down there, I try to go there.
Oh yeah,
I can't.
Little bibimbap. I love bibimbap. I don't know if you do. You do bibimbap? Oh,
bibimbap. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Oh yes, and the gochujang sauce. I have this buddy of mine who's Korean, and Mama-san made this bottle of gochujang sauce that has honestly, it's like it's about 10 or 15 years old now, and it's still in my refrigerator. That thing will not go bad. I don't know what's in it, but I'll pull it out. Oh my gosh, it is so darn good.
It's fermented. Like that's why it doesn't go bad.
That's probably it. It never goes bad. Yeah, you could put it in the sands of Egypt, and 3,000 years later, take that bottle out and start squirting it on some bibimbap, and it's going to be fantastic.
Totally.
So you've been with the NSCA, the National Strength Conditioning Association, for how long now? Since you were like 5 years old, so like 20 years or so?
16 years-ish.
16 years?
Yeah.
Wow. So when you took the CSCS exam, was it on a computer or was it on paper and a number 2 pencil?
Paper. It was on paper.
Oh, woman after my own heart. That's great. All right. So, there was one question. It dates back to our previous conversation here earlier in the podcast here we're talking about eating disorders and how sometimes the diet will help promote it. I remember one question back there talking about eating disorders and which sports have a higher incident rate of seeing athletes with such eating disorders. And of course, it's very heavily toward female athletes, but there is a percentage of male athletes that are dealing with it too. Wrestling, of course, you have to make weight. But the one that hit me was platform divers. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, platform divers. Why wouldn't I think that? But it does make sense, right? Aside from not making a big splash, you're in this little Speedo. Yeah. Right? Bodybuilding, wrestling, and platform diving, I think it was.
Bodybuilding is actually a structured eating disorder. That's really what it is.
Good point. I mean, it is.
In and of itself, you are trying on purpose to get your body down to an unnaturally low percentage of body fat.
And that is why I don't train bodybuilders. But there are some guys out there that do it very well, and I just don't want to play with that.
If it's your thing, it's your thing, But, my big thing is I don't want to encourage, I grew up in a family full of eating disorders. I don't want to put that on other people. And so I can't in good conscience train people for that sort of a physique. So I don't. Yeah.
So with the let's just take the NSCA for a second. How do you like the direction it's going in? Do you let's see. Do you see them in the future expanding into personal training? Do you see them staying in the academic world more than anywhere else? Do you see them being the stalwart for scientific research and application?
Well, they seem to me to be expanding their personal training area more and more. But that said, I feel like the leadership in the personal training department needs to be a bit different. It needs to be somebody who's been in the trenches and really understands and cares about where the trainers are, what the trainers are doing. That said, some of the best research, I think, comes out of the NSCA. Great research. And I think that's really what it's known best for, is putting out solid scientific stuff. Agreed. So I think that's probably the trajectory it'll stay in, because I feel like that's what they want to be known for. And that's one of the reasons I want to be part of it, is because I'm a science head myself, and I want to be kind of more on that trajectory.
Yeah, the interesting thing, though, there's this balance too, and I agree with everything you say in regards to personal training and the NSCA itself. It's coming from the university and college setting, the academic world, where there's a lot of research and development there, and yet that research is really very influenced by what's going on out in the field, what's gaining popularity, and bringing it into the campus setting where research is going to be done. So it's not a juxtaposition, but it's this beautiful blending, hopefully, that I'm looking forward to with the NSCA and other organizations like that we can take the people that are out in the trenches and in the gyms and studios and even martial arts academies or whatever, and infuse this wonderful kind of collaboration with those in the academic world, so we can get research that is not necessarily outdated. And what I mean by that is that the research that's coming out now is fantastic, but a lot of the information was based on things that were popular, say 10 or 15 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be nice to see some of the things that we're incorporating right now be actually researched on without that 10 or 15 year lag. Anyway.
Yeah, I just wish that there was some sort of I don't know, and I don't know that it would come from the NSCA, but I wish there was some sort of a fund somewhere for non-mainstream research, because things like veganism are becoming very mainstream right now, and there's very little research done on performance, and I really feel like those studies need to be done, and I would like to be part of that. Another aspect of my life that I feel like there needs to be more research on is the juxtaposition of strength training and vocal power. I feel like that is something that has not been addressed a whole lot in science. I would really love to study it, but who the hell's going to fund it? You know? So I wish that there was some sort of a non-mainstream, somebody who's not going to keep putting out the same studies all the time. These are new subjects. So like a non-mainstream fund for research. I wish there was something like that. I don't know where it would even come
from. The closest thing I could see it coming from is actually the Parkinson's Society, because of the fact that people living with Parkinson's have issues with their vocal cords. You've got programs like LSVT Big, which is Lee Silverman voice training, that has been a very beneficial program for people with Parkinson's, but they also are encouraging people to move their bodies and exercise, and strength training to some degree could be a big part of it. The interesting thing with Parkinson's is that the conventional volume that we typically will create a program for somebody with number of sets and repetitions doesn't carry over very well to Parkinson's, because it is not novelty movements. And with Parkinson's, we're talking about like dopamine productions in the cerebellum, which will just get actually just passed over if you do the same things repetitively over time. But if you can, but there you go. I think that might be an avenue if you
that's actually not a bad idea.
Michael J. Fox is down there. I think you might want to give him a call, see what his organization's doing. Tell him I say hi.
I've got him on speed dial. I don't see why I can't.
There you go. Yeah. Well, we're coming up against the clock, and I've been having a really fun time talking with you. I hope that our paths cross in person sometime soon at some conference. What are the conferences that you like to go to?
Paths cross
any. Honestly.
What did you say?
Well, what are the conferences that you like to attend? Not necessarily, if you like presenting, but also, are there others in the Southern California, or for that matter, any region that you have enjoyed attending?
I really think that there's a lot of value in conferences of all kinds. Just, they put a lot of the conferences online, which is fine from an educational perspective, but I think the real value in the conferences is the networking aspect of it.
Yeah.
And so when you go to these things, I feel like that's missing right now, and I feel like we need to not take that for granted. I was actually really against them putting the personal trainer conference online, but now I guess they have no choice anyways. But I really wanted that to be held in person. I felt like particularly personal trainers need to be networking,
Yeah. Well, they did that a couple of years ago where they had the hybrid for the personal trainers conference, and I spoke at that one, and it was very interesting. Instead of having a huge group showing up here, the fact that people could just simply sit during their day at their computer in between appointments and not have to worry about hotel accommodations and travel costs and all that goes along with it, because it can be very expensive going away to conferences, granted. But it dropped the numbers down, atrociously, so that you only had a handful of people. So I'm in total agreement with you that it would be nice. Plus, we're kinesthetic learners for the most part. We wouldn't be in this industry of moving the body if we didn't have that element of learning. So it's great to listen in and watch somebody move on a screen, but there's so much more to it when you actually get to participate in there. So, well, I really hope that we get a chance.
Me too. I'm actually going to be doing a Learn by Do for the Alberta clinic later this month. And I'm like, most people aren't going to have that kind of equipment at home to do it along with me. So I'm wondering how that's going to go, but we'll see.
Yeah. When's that going to be? Let's plug that. I feel like Johnny Carson. When are you going to be appearing? What's your next show?
Is it the 25th?
It's the Alberta Provincial Clinic?
The Alberta Provincial, yeah.
All right. I've got the Virginia State Clinic coming up about a month, the first Saturday of October, I think.
Oh, cool.
So that's the nice thing. I mean, just to quickly put it out there, the NSCA, all the state clinics and regional clinics are allowed now to get speakers from outside of their areas, which before, budget speaking, they couldn't really afford to bring people in from far and wide. So now there's no cost to that. So now we get to see speakers from all over the place. I don't know how many people, I'm sure everyone in Alberta has heard of you and that's why they're going to it, but maybe there's going to be a few people that haven't. It'll be a nice surprise.
Nobody knows who I am, dude.
I'm huge in Finland. I didn't know that until recently.
I wish I was, because then I could speak in Finland. That'd be cool.
So are you doing online training? You must be doing
yes,
some.
I am. I'm doing quite a bit of it.
If we've got some individuals that want to, aside from bend nails and rip phone books and license plates in half, or just want to get in shape and they're interested in training with you, how would they go about doing that?
You can drop me an email, or you can drop me a Facebook message, or you can probably send a carrier pigeon. But email is probably the easiest way to do it. It's my personal email address. It's N as in Nancy, A, D as in dog, IANA, so that's Nadiana, 01@gmail.com. And that's the easiest way to reach me. I used to have a business email address, but it doesn't work, so that is the one I'm using.
All right. Well, I'll put it down in the descriptions down below on the video podcast, as well as on Anchor and all the other platforms there. And then if people want to get a copy of your book, plus there's another book, actually there's an ebook that you have out. We didn't even mention that one. That's Get Strong, 11 Tips for Building Strength, right?
Oh, yeah, you can just download that off my website. But I actually have a new book coming out, I believe either the end of this year or beginning of next year, through Human Kinetics. So that's exciting.
Chew nails, spit out bullets. What's the title?
That's what it's called. How did you know?
I knew it.
No, it's actually it is called Diet Lies and Fat Loss Truths, and that will be coming out later this year, or beginning of next year.
No way. I didn't even know this. We could have spent a whole bunch of time talking about that. How about this? When it comes out and it's out on the shelves, we'll get you back in here and promote your book, because I know there's a lot of good stuff in it. It's got to be.
Sweet.
Cool.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Melody, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, we'll have you back in 2021. Oh, it's a pleasure. Totally a pleasure.
Yeah.
And
hopefully 2021 will be a better year.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I don't think there's any other alternative right now. There's only going up from here.
Don't say that. That's
Sideways,
never a good thing to say.
All right, I'm knocking on wood, and that's how I'll leave this show. You guys take care.